is going to go over the short business messages portfolio. So, over the course of the first third to half of the class, you're going to be writing a series of short business messages that will count towards 25% of your final grade. There are 14 possible assignments, and you can drop your 3 lowest scores. You can find these on the syllabus because they are labeled with the SW. So, when you go to the syllabus and you see these little SWs, that means it's a short business message writing assignment. So let's take a look at what this assignment entails. First of all, this is a different class than your previous composition class. We're not writing essays in this class. The majority of the writing in this class are going to be very short documents because in general, business documents are short and concise. So these are going to be usually no more than 300 to 500 words or about a page to 2 pages at most. They will take time, however, to plan, write, and revise. They're not as time consuming as a full essay, but you can't just kind of rush through them. So I have a list here of your short message assignments, and then I want to go through the instructions. Most of our short message assignments are going to be found in the textbook. The only exceptions to this are towards the end of the semester. There's a couple individual assignments in your final project that count towards the short message portfolio. So you're going to find these messages under the activities and cases at the end of each chapter. When you go to your textbook, whatever chapter you happen to be in, there's always a table of contents. And when you scroll down, you're going to find activities and cases. Those activities and cases are numbered with the chapter number, point, and then whatever the number of the case is. So when we look at, for instance, for the negative messages, you're supposed to do 7.3, the request refusal. I can come over here, I can find 7.3, request refusal. So you're going to get most of the assignments directly from your textbook. So once you've located the activity, then you need to read over the prompt and the instructions carefully. Each prompt is going to give you a fictional scenario that represents something you might encounter in the business world. You'll be given an overview of a specific audience, a document or channel, and a goal for the correspondence. You need to really think carefully about how to best approach the writing of the required document. And you're going to need to apply your knowledge about concise, clear business prose and the writing plan from the chapter. So chapters 2, 3, and 4 gave you all those exercises about how to make your sentences shorter, crisper, clearer, and more effective. You have to use those lessons in these writing assignments. You're also going to be using the writing plans, and I'm going to show you where to find those. So when you take a look at 7.3, this is a request refusal. That's the type of message it is. You're going to go to the chapter. You're going to find where it says refusing typical requests and claims, and you're going to scroll down to find the writing plan. The writing plan is always going to be labeled as writing plan. Now, your job for these short messages is to follow this writing plan as carefully and as accurately as possible. You're going to have to use the reading from the textbook and the examples in the textbook as models in order to apply your knowledge to this new situation. But the writing plan is what I'm going to be looking for. So for instance, this writing plan talks about a buffer, reasons, bad news, closing. So I would expect that your document, whatever that document might be, would do the things in this order. It would start with a buffer, a neutral statement. It would present valid reasons for the refusal after you buffered. You would de-emphasize the bad news, and then you would renew good feelings. So if you wrote this negative message and you started with the bad news, that would not be following the writing plan. So the writing plan is going to give you those specific instructions. Usually it'll deal with the opening, the body, and the closing of those messages. It's really important that you pay attention to that because documents that do not follow those organizational writing plans will not earn passing grades. You also need to make sure that you are following the example for document design. There are tons of document design examples for emails, letters, memos, and reports in the textbook and in the MindTap website. So make sure that you have set up your page to look like an email, to look like a letter, to look like a memo, or to look like a report. These should not look like essays. There is no need to include your name in an MLA style heading. Your name will be kind of attached because you're submitting everything online. So some hits and tips. First of all, do not copy and paste the wording from the prompt directly into your document. These prompts are not written in business style prose. They're written with too many words and really like kind of academic writing constructions. So you need to put all that information in your own words and use the best practices that are covered in chapters 2 to 4. You want to think carefully about which information you include. The prompts are going to give you a big picture idea, but the most successful documents are going to choose judiciously. Not everything in the prompt is necessary to include in the message, and some of the information in the prompt might actually be inappropriate for the message. So take your time and really think about your audience. Make sure that everything that you're putting into that message is appropriate and effective for that audience. Plan and revise carefully. So make sure that you're using that idea of if you spend 10 minutes writing, you should be spending 10 more minutes revising, that 50-50, where your revision is about 50% of your writing time. Don't confuse brevity with easy writing. Just because these are short does not mean that they're necessarily simple or fast to write. In fact, until you kind of get the hang of this, writing a short message is actually more difficult to get a lot of information. And then don't use any cheat sites or any internet help for this. I know that some of these answers, and there's places on things like Chegg and Course Hero where you can buy answers to this. Anything that is found as containing plagiarism or cheating will result in a 0 and be reported to the college. And the 0 you get will not be one of the grades that are dropped. So short messages, just like messages you write for the business world, are going to be graded holistically. Documents that don't meet minimum requirements of the writing plan or don't use the correct formatting of the channel are not going to earn passing grades. You can earn a 100, a 75, a 60, or a 0 on these. You get full credit, 100%. The document is effective. It would have a highly positive effect on the sender's reputation and business relationships. The writing plan has been followed. Effective content has been selected. And the writing demonstrates a mastery of clear, concise business prose. If your document is satisfactory, which means it's fine, it wouldn't cause any bad reputational harm to you as a business person, but isn't necessarily amazing or effective, it means your writing plan has been followed and the basic channel formatting is correct, even if maybe your subject line isn't super concise or specific, or maybe your spacing is a little bit off. But the C is going to be free from errors. And really the difference between the 75 and the 100 is that the 75 is, if you would have taken a little bit more time to revise for concision and clarity, you probably could have improved it. So if your document would have a negative effect on the sender, that is, like if this was real life and you sent this to someone and they would look at it and be like, I am not doing business with someone who can't write this kind of a letter, you're not going to get a passing grade on this. So if the document would have a negative effect on the sender's reputation and business relationships, it's going to fall in the 60% range. It means that you didn't follow the writing plan, or you didn't format it appropriately, or there are grammatical errors that stand out, or the content could include unnecessary information, unclear points, or even offensive items. And again, the 0 is for plagiarized content, but be aware if you cheat and use plagiarized content or find these answers somewhere online, then those grades will not be eligible for one of the 3 grades you drop. The 0 will stand. So that's an overview for the short writing assignments. There are a lot of these because the goal is that as you do them, I'm going to give you really quick feedback. So for instance, when you take a look at these messages, you'll do 2 positive messages. You should get feedback really, really quickly so that before you do the next 2 positive messages, you can apply that feedback and hopefully get better and better as you go. The same with the negative messages, right? You do a couple negative messages, you should be able to get feedback before you do the other negative messages. So the goal here is that you're really paying attention to the comments I'm leaving, the feedback you're getting, and that you can improve your business writing little by little by little. And then you get to drop your lowest 3. Now, if you do amazing on your first 10, awesome. You can just skip the last 3. But the 3 is if you need to miss something for emergencies, if you just really aren't getting it at first, you won't be penalized for kind of a learning curve for this. So if you have any questions or anything I can help with, just let me know.